Hey, what's up, interwebs? Torp here. I want to go over a couple things. Some things that you may find distasteful, somewhat controversial, but that's kind of the way it is. I've been watching a lot of videos here lately about the law, as you guys know, and some of these videos are right on point. Rant Jeff was one of them, talking about an illegal alien that comes to America and gets the money to go to school and become a lawyer, passes the bar, and he's an illegal alien. And that doesn't surprise me, not at all. My question, though, well, it's not really a question, it's more of a goddamn statement, is this has been going on for so long, why is it just now becoming an issue? That's what I don't understand. The issue that I have with it is, why is it that the worst thing you can be in America is and I'll tell you what that is at the end of the video. You notice that we have people that come like from Mexico or any other country that is non-US, and if the parents come over, then they're illegal, but if they have a baby here, the baby is legal. So you might think for a second that that's a good thing. Well, I'm sure their parents did too. Well, we might not be legal, but even if we get deported, our baby will stay legally. You have to wonder sometimes about that, because if the baby stays legally, that means that the baby is going to be a U.S. citizen, and their baby is going to have to live by the same lifestyle and laws that we as U.S. citizens do. That's a hell of a life to put on a baby, don't you think? Let's look at the facts. All liquor stores, almost all liquor stores and gas stations in my area, are owned by people from other descents, from India, from Africa, from Mexico, and they can't speak the language. They don't try to speak the language. They're not going to school to learn the language. And they're getting visas, and they're getting grants, not even loans, just grants. They're giving money. I happen to know one in particular that got $100,000 and opened up a liquor store. I can't get $5 for a Happy Meal. I was born here. And to hear people tell stories on YouTube about other family members that they have that are in other countries, they can't come here. Visas expired, they can't get a visa. They can't come visit their own family. But yet we have people illegally obtaining part-time citizenship that are doing very, very well. Driving Cadillac Escalades, smoking cigarettes, drinking beer. So a lot of working cornfields here, or tobacco fields here. And we all just kind of like sit by and go, oh man, that sucks. But nobody does anything about it, because the government controls that aspect of it. So again, you have to ask yourself, what is the worst possible thing you can do in America? And as I said, I'm going to get to that at the end of the video. I'll give you a hint though. There's murder, there's rape, there's pedophilia, there's theft, arson. There are a number of major crimes in America committed every day by the worst of the worst. You think that you may know the answer of what the worst thing that you can possibly be in America is. But I'll bet you that you don't. And if you do, you'll like this video up. Again, I'll get to it at the end. I've seen very, very, very few situations to where any law enforcement officer can actually quote the laws, quote any type of code of the law. They simply just go by their ego. I think the reason they do this is simply because they know that the court system does not work in their favor. It just doesn't. Everything is left to interpretation. So if you have a great lawyer, you're getting off. That's why the people with the most money can do the most damage and get away with it. People like you and I. We have to be very, very careful, because we know if we make the smallest infraction, even if it's an accident, we're going down. We're getting hung in public. They're going to drag us with a Ford pickup truck and take us to life imprisonment, to where we get raped by Bubba. Simply because we don't have the funds for the lawyers like the rich do. The rich say, I don't care about the law. It's irrelevant to me. I own the lawyers, I own the court, I own the bankers. I own everything. Do as I wish. I am free. I love America. America is free. Well, in retrospect, they're right. But it is good in one way that they have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to be free, while you and I just simply have to watch our behavior to be free. And even with that said, it's not totally the case most of the time. You have to exercise your rights. You have to almost be a lawyer yourself. You have to actually know the Constitution. Actually understand the Constitution, even knowing there's a lot of it that's interpreted. The one thing you have is the right to remain silent, the right to free speech, the right to... you have a lot of rights. The first and the third are probably my favorite. The fourth is incredibly important. But it's strange to me that the police officers today, that were like us and still are, actually know these themselves, but they don't exercise them themselves. 90% of the time, an officer will use his ego and his attitude to enforce the law, where in fact, that's not the law. That's just his ego and his attitude. So if you know your rights, you could put his job in jeopardy because he's harassing you. That is, of course, unless he has sovereignty. That is to say, the suspect has sovereignty. That's the problem I have. The law only applies to U.S. citizens. It doesn't apply to people that have a sovereignty. And the people that have sovereignty are usually illegal aliens. So, and I'll end the video here. To answer your question and tell you what I'm speaking of, the worst possible thing that you can do in the United States, the absolute biggest crime you can commit in the United States, to damn yourself, to damn your family, is be born here. Because if you're born a U.S. citizen, you're fucked. But if you're an illegal alien, you get the money, you get the freedom, and you get the power. If you remove the middle one, the power, you get the money and the freedom, you don't need the power. Because the power is the government, which only supports illegal aliens, which is what my tax dollars pay for. That is, of course, unless I spit on the sidewalk and pick my nose in public, then I'm going to get arrested for indecent exposure. While my tax dollars pay for somebody illegally gaining entrance into this country and selling alcohol to U.S. citizens that are rightfully here, that get DUIs for having one beer. And the officer says, well, it's my belief he's intoxicated and incoherent. Therefore, he's going to jail. All this was paid for by your U.S. government, which sustained the right to fuck over the U.S. citizen while supporting everybody in sovereignty that's here illegally. Again, the worst possible crime that you can commit in the United States of America is being born here. Someday, if I can get a grant from Mexico, I bet you I would be in power. I might even run for the president of Mexico, if there was such a thing. But I bet you I'd win. Seems that the U.S. flag should be turned upside down. That would represent the United States of America a whole lot better. At this point, the police state isn't a rumor. It's been happening, and now it's in your face. The police state states, if you are a U.S. citizen, you are to abide by whatever the police officers and the law and the Supreme Court says. But if you are here illegally, you can do whatever the fuck you want. The real freedom is not being born in the United States of America. The real freedom is sneaking into this motherfucker, and you can do whatever the fuck you want. The U.S. citizens will pick up the tab. Really?